CNBC TV18 exclusive, the Reserve Bank is putting finishing touches to the rules that will govern small banks. It has circulated a confidential set of guidelines for their feedback. CNBC TV18's Ritu Singh, who has secured a copy of these confidential rules, is here with us. Ritu, have the rules changed from the draft guidelines put out last year?
Kritika, yes, there are some significant changes from what the guidelines said last year. The primary one being that banks will not have to immediately comply with 25% of their branches in rural unbanked areas from day one. They will be given up to a one-year period in which they can comply with these norms. The second thing is that loans so far that are being bought from big banks and advanced into NBFCs and MFIs can be classified as priority sector lending by these banks. But for these small finance banks, which will come into the picture later this year, some of them are in the process of setting up small finance banks. They will not be allowed to classify these loans that they've borrowed from other large entities as priority sector lending to avoid any duplication or double counting. Third is the minimum capital requirement that was earlier stated that it will be at 15%, but now what the RBI has done is clarified that 7.5% will be Tier 1 capital and 7.5% will be Tier 2 capital. Aside from this, they will also not be allowed to buy any loans, standard or NPAs, from other banks. Remember, this is a usual activity for all other scheduled commercial banks, but it looks like the small finance banks will not be allowed to do this. They are also allowed exemption from existing ceilings on interbank borrowings for up to a period of 3 years, post which we understand these guidelines may be relaxed. But remember, these are all draft norms. They have invited comments from all of these small finance banks on what they make of these guidelines, and the final lines will only be issued once these comments have been received.
All right, Ritu, thanks for joining in with those details. We'll take a